So this was one of those episodes that felt kind of anticlimactic, but at the same time had enough spice in two specific parts that it really, really brought the atmosphere together and made it one of those episodes that all in all was definitely worth it. And I feel like the next episode is going to be absolutely brilliant with what we kind of let off with on this episode. So we'll see where this goes from there. But before I talk any more about this, let's just quickly, not quickly, quote unquote, review this episode and just kind of talk about the points that I think definitely made this episode worth what it was worth. So in the beginning, we start off with Shiki, and he's at home and he's getting ready for school. And he's still sore from the skiing trip, like he hasn't fully recovered, considering it was technically the day before this in this episode. And he's kind of like questioning if he should even go to school today. And before he can even like deny, should I go? Should I not go? His grandma comes up and she's like, this is how you are going to prove yourself as a true citizen of Hokkaido. You're going to walk through this blizzard to school. And I'm thinking to myself, especially being a Minnesotan, like, I remember when we had school days and everything, obviously it was like 14 inches, whatever, back in the day, plus, but still, like, the way this blizzard's being, like, shown in this episode, I would almost think that they're getting a pretty damn hefty snow, and I would assume that, school might have been canceled, but that's just my opinion. So, our boy goes freaking straight to walking his way to school, right? And he's doing the best he can, but he's pretty much given up, right? He's gone maybe a couple blocks, sits down on the corner, preparing himself mentally to die at this point in time. And before he can even like get there, he's like literally mentally thinking about, I wonder what Fuyuki-san's doing right now. Like, I bet she's walking to school like this is just normal, when in all reality, who in the right mind is walking to school when they have this much snow and the weather is that bad? But he doesn't know. He's just a Tokyo boy, And right before he can quote unquote give up and pass out, he starts thinking he's seeing hallucinations when we see Fuyuki, and she's sitting not sitting, I guess she's like, almost looks like a, like when you have like a hallucination, obviously like he's having right now, but like almost like God presence, like there's light and everything behind her. And he thinks his life's flashing before his eyes, and he's, saying his farewells to Hokkaido. And Fuyuki's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, this is a blizzard. You can't be walking. So, like, she pops out of the car to get him. And he gets in the car, and, he's, thanking her for the troubles and whoever's driving. And sure as shit, so happens to be that her mother is driving. Finally, we get some of that mother. You can't go wrong with having some mom in your series, right? And we find out her name's Mai, right? And so Mai's just kind of there, talking about making himself at home and enjoying the car ride, and he's commenting on the fact that, surprised that that's not her sister, that's her mom, because she looks a lot like her daughter, obviously, besides the fact that she's got her hair orange. But between the nails and the eyes and the makeup and the boobies and everything else, clearly there's some relation in genetics there. But Fuyuki's talking about the fact that this is the boy that I was telling you about. Shiki's the one that has the mansion and he's rich and everything. And so mom retorts with, if I would have known that, I would have gotten my makeup on. And of course, Fuyuki's like, stop trying to pick up, Supa. And it's just like this absolutely hilarious thing where the mom's clearly teasing both of them, and it's just freaking hilarious. And she's talking about the fact that, just kind of making small talking, asking if he has a girlfriend, and of course he can't even finish that sentence because, before he can, Fuyuki's kind of grabbing his shoulder, and he's still sore from the ski trip. And the mom makes like a sexual joke about how, she's got plenty of stamina and that she could pound it all day. But like, it's just the way that she's like saying it so casually is absolutely just hilarious, because obviously Fuyuki's like the only one that's like really thinking about this and picking up on this. But he before anything else weird can happen and being said, he replies that he doesn't have a girlfriend. And she's talking out loud about how obviously he should date Fuyuki, because obviously even like she's saying like Shiki looks like her dad and everything else, and it's really cute. And even the mom's kind of like getting like, kind of really happy and excited about it. And then she starts calling him like a bee and a honey, like a little happy, adorable couple. And before anything more could really get said and done, obviously Fuyuki gets mad and just puts her fist up and blows on it. Like, I don't know if it's supposed to be like, shut up or I'm gonna beat you up or something to those extents, but it's absolutely hilarious. And like, we get to school and, before that could even happen, like, they're talking about how, he thought maybe school would be canceled, and, the mom's like, that's not even a chance, and you got, dressing like warm for winter is so expensive, and that, if people don't ride the bus or the train, then obviously somebody like their parents or somebody in the family will drop them off at school. And then Fuyuki's talking about how she wants to get a job so she can buy more winter clothes. And, mom's like, no, even your dad says you shouldn't, you can't. And, Fuyuki's talking about, mentally in his head, like he always does, kind of like talking about how, these two are, pretty awesome. And while he still thinks he's talking in his head, he says out loud that, like they're both beautiful enough just the way they are. And of course, both the mom and the daughter are just shocked. I think more or less like you'd think it'd be Fuyuki, but I think the mom specifically, like I feel like Mai definitely hit it a little harder, and she's stuttering and telling him that flattery is not gonna get him anywhere. And they get to school, and like she offers to him if there's ever a snow like a blizzard again, that she'll just tell Fuyuki and she'll give him a ride. So he gets out of the car, and mom tells the daughter that was one fine play you made back there. Like, she can tell that obviously with how much she's been talking about him and everything, that mom knows that she has a huge crush on him. And even Fuyuki replies with blushed cheeks, like a little bit. It's absolutely adorable. And before mom pulls away, she sees those two walking to school with like the eyes that Fuyuki has, just like, those eyes that you can tell that somebody's like the spark of their life, and just is absolutely adorable. And the mom says, even like when it's blizzardy and wintry for some people, it's still like springtime for others. So it's like this really cute, obviously sighting that we get to see halfway through this in the, the third way through the anime series. And we get into the high school, and within 2 seconds, we can see that Akino is there, and she is just walking in, and Fuyuki runs and tackles her down the hallway, and she puts her hands on the wall, and she tells her she'll never forgive her because she is equally just as sore as Shiki is. And that's obviously because they're two people that don't really do any physical activities. One's a gamer, and one's just kind of a little loser. So they're going to be a little sore today. But obviously Fuyuki and Akino are kind of relating on this fact that they're sore, and they're talking about it. And obviously Fuyuki's not too happy about that because these two are getting closer and she's not involved, which I don't know if it's obviously for the friendship aspect for Akino, or because it seems like Akino's getting closer to Shiki and she's not involved. It could be any of the three. It's really hard to say. It's kind of a toss-up. But now she's talking about how she wants to get sore muscles too, and it's just this jealousy circle that's absolutely freaking hilarious. But I digress. We get to the classroom, and we see that our boy Shiki now has a blanket and a cardigan, and she mentions the fact that she's seen that he has them now, and he feels bad about the fact that he had to borrow them from her all the time, even though obviously she didn't find it as a bother, considering she like huffed them and everything. But she also shows the other secret to her being able to dress light, and she has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 6, 7 heating pads on her. And like obviously she pulls off her shirt and it's barely buttoned. Like she's she's holding up the competition. And he even makes a comment to the fact that he can see why she can dress so light. And the worst part is that's barely the spiciness that we're going to acquire this episode coming forward on. So he also mentions that he says like okay, and that's like, I guess, like a Hokkaido dialect that, apparently that they say a lot, and she thinks that, obviously he picked it up from her, so she's really happy about that. But before they can even like really celebrate or anything about that, Akino comes up and she's like, look. Fuyuki's really smart and everything, but maybe you shouldn't listen to her about this. My whole family has no dialect, and we're all from Hokkaido too, but except for my grandparents. So like, obviously, I don't know if it's a jealousy thing again or not. It's really hard to determine. But, before any of that conversation can really go anywhere else, because I don't think it's too extremely important, she has her Switch out again, or whatever her generic, random name for the Switch is. And the way that our boy says this in the middle of class, he's like, I want to do it with you, Akino-san. And he's obviously talking about the Switch, but he's so innocent that his little mind can't think about that. So obviously our girl Akino's really embarrassed about that, even calls him out. But obviously is way too innocent. I mean, to be fair, he is. That's way is something that's kind of out of line, But he's explaining to Fuyuki now, after Akino's been turned around in embarrassment, that, she's the professor now, and asking her if she wants to become a pupil too. And she definitely does, even though she doesn't really know what she's signing up for. Just the fact that obviously she can get closer to Akino and spend more time with Shiki is the main thing we have going for this. So she, Akino tells him that we're going to meet at the mall later. Obviously, I can't remember the name of it, but she calls it the name of the actual mall. And they meet there after school. And they're kind of asking, our boy Shiki, if, they like the mall, because obviously it's from Tokyo. So they're like, isn't this thing just a pile of crap compared to that? And which with he replies with kind of how I feel about, like living in a smaller city versus living in the bigger city. The atmosphere is not as busy, so you can kind of relax more and just kind of deal with your things without having to like freaking deal with people everywhere and everything. It's just a headache and a half. So I totally understand him. But we get to see Fuyuki playing the game, and obviously our girl Akino and our boy Shiki are just kind of standing there watching her, and she does beat the level. And Fuyuki, oh my gosh, Shiki tells him that he needs to go to the bathroom, so he goes to the bathroom. And while he's in the bathroom, I mean, more times can I say that, Fuyuki asks, if Akino wants to check out the cosmetics on the way out, because, she knows that she wears like really good makeup and everything. And obviously that's something that these two can both relate on to an extent. And so she agrees, that they can look at contacts, because contacts are expensive, and maybe they can go on some together. And, even Akino kind of apologizes to Fuyuki about how she was grouchy at school about the whole dialect and everything. And I'm assuming before that, because she even admits that she's a really cool person, which is kind of a nice little bonding moment between the two. And they're both like, getting blushy, and it's cute. It's cute. So we get to the cosmetics place, and we get this little cutscene of obviously our Shiki has to carry their bags, and they're asking him his opinions on things, and they get to leaving the store, and obviously we can see that they bought some things, right? And And Fuyuki, says out loud that she bought the shampoo that he picked. And ironically, Akino bought the contacts that he approved. So they're both like, all lovey-dovey. And so, like, he's just apologizing because obviously they picked what he, liked. And he doesn't want to, if they're bad, he doesn't want to make them feel bad about it. But they tell him it's fine. They make sure it's all good. Because obviously, from an extent, you got the friendship plus the love like triangle thing going on here. And before they leave, they obviously they see a checky booth, and they all decide to get in together as friends and take pictures together, and it's pretty cute and adorable. And they leave, and so we're at the next day. Not the next day, that night. My goodness, what an episode. They're at that night now, and obviously our boy doesn't know if this English homework is due in class that day, so he texts Fuyuki about that. And Fuyuki sends her a text back without even like reading the previous text, because she wants to screw with him at this point. And this is where the saucy scene happens, right? And so she's got this little fox kitsune on her lap, little puppy, taking a bath, and you can see her thighs, and obviously he's freaking out, right? And she's like, oh, I wonder how he's gonna react, and his face is red, he's just blushing, and he's trying to think of something to say to not let her win this war. So he's like, I got caught, that's cute, that's really cute. Sorry, I caught you in the bath. So then she doesn't like this reply, right? So she sends him another picture with the shampoo bottle with her boobs in there and some water coming in and out between them, and the nipples are barely covered. Like, this boy, right? This boy is having just a rough time, especially being like a 16, 17-year-old boy. He's hanging in there, right? And he even admits, there's no way he can concentrate on his homework after seeing that. And so Fuyuki, even admits to herself she might have overdone it a little bit, but, she thinks she's going to get a good reaction now. And he just writes like this, like, chat GPT answer where it's like, your devotion becomes crystal clear, your skin's so smooth, and all this stuff. And like, she's not happy with that answer either. So she calls him, right? And she doesn't just call him, she screen times him. And so they're on the phone together, and he's just blush red, and she's excited because that's the expectation she was having for his reaction. And even he's like, man, she's hitting harder than usual right now. Maybe it's that late night stuff. Maybe it's everything we've been doing. He's having like a midlife crisis right now. And so he puts the phone down because he missed himself. If anything goes any further, he's going to have to fear for his life, right? And so next thing you know, for some reason, Fuyuki's talking about the bath schedule. How like her and her mother take baths every day, but every other day they take half baths, and that her father and her other sibling, her sister, take showers or baths every other day, so they can save obviously on the heating and everything else, but the complicated schedule goes along with it. And obviously Shiki thinks that, why don't they take a bath every day? It's freaking freezing here, And then it kind of makes sense, obviously the perspective of wages and everything. And so then the next thing Fuyuki's talking about how they used to go to like hot springs a lot of the times, and she asks him if he wants to go to one with her. But before we can really get into that, she's got her phone raised up, right? And he asked her the main question he wanted to ask her, right? Is the homework due tomorrow? And Fuyuki hasn't even started on it yet, right? And while she realizes this and everything, she drops her phone, right? And we get to see what the camera sees while the phone's dropping. And it would be just straight on boob, straight on abs, straight on what. And he drops his phone at the same time, though, because of her freaking out. So he picks up the phone and he's like, oh my gosh, are you okay? What happened? And she asks him, because she goes off of screen time, and she's like, did you see? And he's like, see what? And obviously he didn't see, which, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But we know how this boy is. So he denies it, right? And so she goes, I have to get out of the tub, so I should probably go. So they get off the phone, and he's like, was that homework too much of a shock for her? Like, I don't think he realizes exactly what happened. So she's over there freaking out, right? Thinking, he's seen everything, not just boobies, but like everything. And so like she even like confesses that maybe she shouldn't do something that she's not really used to doing, because that might have been a little too much. And her mom shows up around the corner getting ready to take her bath now, because like I said, half bath, saving the water. And your mom asks her, like, are you lightheaded or something? Was it too hot? And she's like, maybe just a little bit. Like, gosh dang it. And when we end this episode, we ended on the fact that Fuyuki-san did not finish her homework and she got in trouble. And that's episode 4 for you. Like I said, overall, it didn't seem like a super like important episode to the story. However, I did very, very much enjoy this episode. It had its ups, definitely, when it had its ups, and it made for an excellent time with the embarrassment and the closeness, and then the mom. So we got a little bit of everything that I think is a perfect slot for a rom-com anime. But overall, like I said, this is another good episode, like a 7 or an 8. And can't wait to see what next week brings, because this is one of the ones that I look forward to every week. So with that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. It means a lot to me. And if you're feeling really generous, hit that subscribe button. We're almost to that 500 mark finally. I thank you all a lot. And let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Did you guys enjoy this episode? Are you enjoying the series so far? I'm just kind of curious to see what everybody thinks. But yeah, with that being said, I guess this has been Squids, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.